Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August 31st, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, talking about the news of the day. And there's a lot to talk about this morning as the Hurricanes return to Green Tree Practice Field and continue their preparations for the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll be out there for this morning's practice. We'll be bringing you video interviews with De'Ara King, Bubba Bolden, Amari Carter. So make sure you're attached to the website about midday today for all that new content. Reviewing some of the stories that are on the website this morning, and there's a lot of them. Let's begin with a look at the depth chart, which came out today. And there were a lot of interesting developments, I thought, on the depth chart, some surprises. And, I think it started at the receiver position where Mark Pope was nowhere to be found. Xavier Restrepo won the backup job in the slot behind Mike Harley. D. Wiggins is the backup to Charleston Rambo on the outside, so Wiggins hung in there through fall drills. But it was a surprise to not see Pope even mentioned at all. But Restrepo beat him out. I mean, every practice we went to, every drill, Restrepo just was finding a way to make plays. And then the scrimmages continued. And really, Xavier Restrepo, even going back to spring practice, was unquestionably one of the more impressive players on the entire team, just in terms of consistency and making plays. And he had to show up in the two deep. I mean, he wasn't going to unseat Mike Harley, obviously, but Xavier Restrepo needed to show up in the two deep. And he did. So really the biggest surprises were on the defensive side of the ball. Zach McLeod won one of the starting jobs at one defensive end position, but the other one was a real surprise, and Jafari Harvey beat out DeAndre Johnson for that starting job. Now, you're going to see Johnson a lot, obviously, this fall, but the transfer from Tennessee was thought to be a starter going into camp, and to see Jafari Harvey beat him out was an interesting development. And I think, what you're seeing is Manny Diaz getting his defense ready for Alabama. And, the thing that I like is he's not in denial about the way last season ended. He's not pretending that the North Carolina game didn't happen. He's not pretending that first half against Oklahoma State in the bowl game didn't happen. He is making adjustments, changes, trying to bring the best defense that he can to Atlanta this weekend for the opener against Alabama. So that was one of them. And I think what Harvey does is it gives them a little bit more of a stout presence at the line of scrimmage. I don't think it's a surprise that Alabama is expected to test Miami's run defense. That's their game. And they're going to take it to Miami. They have a new quarterback in Bryce Young, and they are going to put a lot of responsibility on their guys up front to beat Miami's front seven, which is a weakness. Any way you slice it and dice it, we're expecting that to be a weakness. So I think by putting Jafari Harvey at that one defensive end position, that it gives Manny a chance to be a little bit more stout up front. He's a little bit of a thicker body, a little bit more of a physical player, pass rusher. And you'll see him on pass rushing downs, no question. But this is an adjustment I think that Manny Diaz is making to deal with Alabama's run game. Another one that I think has the same designs was Amari Carter being inserted as the starter at striker ahead of Gil Frierson. So a bit of a surprise there. But Carter is a physical player, and Miami's going to need to be physical in this game. And I think that's why Manny's doing it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out during the course of the game. I think you're going to see Amari Carter slide over to safety a lot. I mean, he's going to be part of at least a three-man rotation to start at the safety position with Bubba Bolden and Gervin Hall. So when Carter goes to safety, I think you will see Frierson come in the game at striker. But again, just some little adjustments that Manny Diaz is making to try to make his defense a little bit better. Another surprise was at the defensive tackle position, where Nesta Silvera was placed as the second teamer at both spots at the line of scrimmage, and that was a bit of a surprise. I mean, we obviously expected Nesta to be a starter at that position, and he was coming back from some injury issues and stuff, maybe not 100% throughout the whole fall. But to see Jared Harrison-Hunt in there with John Ford as the starters and no Nesta, I would say that was a bit of a surprise as well. So the full depth chart is on the website this morning. You can take a look and absorb it and make your own evaluations and form your own opinions about the lineups that Miami will take to Atlanta. All right, other stories on the website this morning. We got this week's edition of the Mike Harley blog, and you saw the first edition last week. Mike Harley's story is this week's blog is equally interesting. I mean, he tells this story about how after the bowl game last year, he went to Atlanta to spend some time with family up there, spending a few months in Atlanta, and really didn't take very much time off. He started training, and the park that he went to work out was literally a couple blocks away from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the game is going to be played on Saturday. And Harley tells us the story about how seeing that stadium motivated him through those workouts, kept him pushing. He would look over the horizon of the buildings and see the stadium, and it made him think of Saturday's game, even way back in the early months of the year. And it was kind of like a driving force for him at that point in the off season. So that was an interesting story. And Harley, of course, tells us a lot more about what's been going on with him and the team in this week's blog. I think you're going to really, really, really like that. All right. We've got a story from Jim Martz, who spent some time with the head of the Chick-fil-A committee. They're the ones that are staging these mega games in Atlanta each year that the Hurricanes are able to participate in this year. And he talks a little bit about what they're trying to accomplish with them. A big opening weekend in college football. It used to be, though, that they were kind of alone on opening weekend. That's not the case anymore. Everybody's scheduling games, but nevertheless, the game in Atlanta is one of the bigger ones of the weekend. Of course, Clemson, Georgia is probably the biggest game of the weekend. That's not in Atlanta, but so Jim talks to the Chick-fil-A Bowl president just about their philosophy, why they're creating these games, what they're hoping to accomplish. Of course, it's a good plum for them that they're able to get Alabama to play almost every single year, because you could take Alabama, pit them against just about anybody, and it's a marquee game. So that's where the Hurricanes find themselves to start this season. All right, couple other stories. We talked to Wesley Basaint, the linebacker from Miami Central, get an update on his recruitment, and he talks about how much he's looking forward to this Miami-Alabama game and just seeing how the Hurricanes show up in Atlanta. We tracked the commits, take a look at what all the Miami commits did on opening weekend of high school football this past weekend, so that'll be interesting as well. And then I have to note our upcoming programming. Tonight is the season debut of CaneSport Live. Those of you who have never listened to CaneSport Live, we encourage you to join us tonight. It's a call-in show with the fans, really a show created to give the fans a voice. So that'll kick off tonight at 8 p.m. And then tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we have the debut of the Lamar Thomas Show. And looking forward to that. Very excited to be back with Lamar doing a show. Lamar and myself used to do shows on 790 The Ticket here in South Florida and QAM. Now we're doing it on CaneSport TV, which is going to actually be a lot better because we don't have to sit through the 5-minute commercial breaks that break up the rhythm of the show. We can do a lot more stuff with it and get creative. So looking very much forward to the debut of the Lamar Thomas Show on Wednesday night. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We'll be coming at you from Green Tree Practice Field later this morning. Make sure you're on the website at midday, and we'll check back in with you tomorrow morning on Good Morning CaneSport. So for now, I'll say have a great day, everybody.